Hello. Oh my gosh, you guys. I just got off this coaching call with one of my clients. And one of the things that my coach told me is that as I'm coaching clients, I need to look for the patterns of things I teach and the things that help me have such great success. And so in my podcast, in my emails, in everything I'm doing, I'm always processing how I think differently so that I can teach my clients to do the same. So today I'm coaching my client, and what was really fun, and I know that I've had this thought, and I know other people have this thought, and so today I want to really share with you the energy difference in your creation. Now, so often I hear people say, like, I'm doing so much stuff, right? I'm posting on social media, I'm emailing, I'm doing all this stuff, and it's not creating the result I want. And I'm going to show you today why. Oh, I'm so excited because, as a mindset coach, as a life coach, the thing that I really help my clients do is process their mind, right? I used to think a life coach was like somebody nice to talk to, and maybe they gave you good advice, and you just like talked about your life and it just made you feel better. And right, like as my mind, I was like, nah, it's ridiculous. And then I found out that it's really very systematic, and it's not just processing your mind in a I don't know, like I was processing my own mind this morning, and I just told my husband, I'm like, this is the best gift I've ever given myself, because the breakthroughs are just like one after another, and I just know how to feel better, right? So I'm going to show you what this looks like. I'm so excited about this. So let's look at this. How many of you have ever thought, so the first thing we do is we find out our circumstance, right? We figure out what is the neutral thing that's happening in our life. And if you have a business, you also have income, right? Now, this model that I'm going to run you through today, this way to process your mind and see why you're doing what you're doing and why it's not working, or why it is. That's another good fun reason. And it's going to come, you're going to always start with the neutral thing. So however much money specifically you've made this month, it doesn't, like if it's zero, we might need to tweak this a little bit. But so often I see coaches having the thought, it's not working. What can I do to fix it? And when you think the thought, it's not working, what can I do to fix it? Right? Like, what would you normally do? You would like, okay, how am I going to fix this? And you start making the list. And this is when you get into that place where you're hustling and you're pushing and it's hard. And most people don't know that that's completely optional. They just don't know, because they don't know that their mind is what is creating the hard push grind. Okay. So people are having this thought, it's not working. What can I do to fix it? And what's beautiful about this, you guys, is it actually doesn't matter what the circumstance is. Your brain can have this thought about anything. And this is one of the things I teach my clients with money. If you have the thought that whatever you're making right now isn't enough, your brain will keep having that pattern of thinking. How do I know? Because it doesn't matter if I've made $10,000 or $20,000 in a month, my brain still had the same thought. And so what I know is that if we don't learn not to think it, our brain will just keep thinking it. Hey, so we have the thought, it's not working. Usually this is not based in evidence, right? Like there's going to be stuff that's like, you know there are things working, but ultimately this is going to feel so true. And it's going to feel like, how you're going to feel this in your body is it's likely going to be fear. You're going to feel afraid, right? When you think the thought, it's not working, you're going to feel your body. The sensation is going to be like tight, heavy. It's going to maybe feel like something is on your chest. You're afraid, right? Because you want your business to work. You don't want it to not work. So how can I fix it? Becomes like, this isn't working. How can I fix it? You're going to feel the sensation in your body of like afraid and tight. Now, when you feel this, you guys, your body is always the guide. It is your compass. One of the biggest things that I'm teaching my clients is how to connect with their body. how to feel the feelings, how to feel inspired, right? It's not always even like good or bad feelings. It's like even just things like inspired. Because when you connect, when you learn to catch yourself in the moment of like, wait a minute, I feel tense, I feel tight, I feel, right? Like when your body is having a negative reaction, that then eventually, not at first, triggers an alarm in your mind where you're like, wait a minute, the reason I'm feeling these feelings in my body are because of the thoughts I'm having in my head. Oh, I can change those. Those are optional. That's where you get to the point when you really connect with, okay, how does afraid feel? And you notice the sensation, okay? And then, so I want you to see. So people are like, okay, my March income goal, it's the 21st. Like, oh my gosh, it's not working. What can I do to fix it? And this could be anything, right? Like this could be the specific number. And then this is the list they're likely going to make. So I want you to play with me, along with me, right? I want you to like comment in the chat box. What would you, when you're thinking the thought, it's not working, how can I fix this? What is your brain saying, like, how do we fix it? I want you to put in the comment box what your brain comes up with as the solution. And while you're doing that, I'm going to run through here, even if you're watching the replay. Here's what my brain said. When it's not working and I need to fix it, and I'm feeling afraid and I'm feeling this tightness in my chest. Let me move this a little bit because you can't actually see my face. You can't see all my arm movements. Still only have one arm there, but, and so, let's see, yeah. So then, like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do or not do? How am I going to show up to try and fix this problem, right? So many people think this isn't a mind problem. And they think this about different things. Even people who know that their thoughts create their results in their coaches, their brain still convinces them, like, oh, but this isn't, right? So how are you going to show up? What are you going to do? Like my list is like, oh, I'm going to email my list more. Like I've got people, I'll talk to them more, right? I'm going to post on social media more. I'm going to do a training. I'm going to engage in groups more. I'm going to work nights instead of being with my family. How many of you are guilty? Right? Because it's not working, you need to fix it. And so you're like, well, I definitely can't spend time with my family. Or it's a really sneaky belief like, no, I need to put in the time. Like if I want to create the biggest things, I have to put in the time. Let's see, spin the problem around in your head. How many of you guys have ever spun a problem around in your head? What does that look like? You feel anxious in your body and you just keep thinking about it and trying to solve it. Whenever my clients tell me they're doing that, I say, stop trying to solve a problem in your head. It doesn't work. It's like opening up the linen closet and trying to rearrange the entire thing and fold it and make it look nice without ever taking anything off the shelf. Right? No, if you want it to look nice, if you want to organize your mind, you have to take everything out and then you decide what you want to put back in. Okay? So you spin in your head, you ignore evidence to the contrary. Here's what's super fun, you guys, and you want to fill this in for yourself. We always want to do this from our own mind because when we do this, we get proof of what we've created and we want to get it specific, right? Like, so even with ignore evidence to the contrary, so my client who was looking at this, she's like, well, I've only made $1,000 this month and my goal is 4,000 and right. And it's not working. It's not working. And so the very first thing that I asked her to do was to find evidence that it is. I know it's working. So I asked her, how many consults have booked with you this month? Do you guys want to know what she said? Now with a thought like that, you might think, oh, she probably didn't have any consults booked this month, or it's probably sporadic, like one week she'll have one, and maybe you guys, she had 4 consultations one week, 3 consultations booked the next week, 4 consultations booked the next week. The evidence says it's working, but her brain says it's not working. Oh my gosh, everything's terrible. Let's fix it, right? We cannot believe our minds. I posted this in my mastermind yesterday, but it's like the rule, right? Like Fight Club has the rule, you don't talk about Fight Club. Mind management, processing our mind, The rule is you never believe your thoughts. And if you can't not, like, if you can't believe, like, it sounded better when I wrote it. But if you can't get to the place where you don't believe the thought that's not serving you, you have to stick with yourself until you can. You have to keep finding the place, like, what else can I believe? Right? Sarah says, I'm going to try something else, but usually just distract myself. Good one. Yeah. So often when we spin in our head or we think it's not working and we're trying to fix the problem, like, yeah, we might go and like take action and do stuff, but so often we are also avoiding. Like, this feels terrible. I want you to keep in mind when you are afraid and it's tight in your body, you are like, your brain is saying, wait, I don't want to feel this way. How can I feel better? And so your brain is going to try and jump to a place where it can feel better. And often the easiest way to feel better is going to go to distract yourself. It's going to be to watch TV. It's going to be to scroll on Facebook mindlessly. It's going to be to watch that really cute cat video like again and again. It's going to be to go like do some dishes, right? It's very productive. You get a little hit of like, ooh, I'm so productive. And now suddenly, instead of feeling afraid and like it's not working, you just got a hit from somewhere else that's like dopamine, like, woo, wait a minute, we're good, right? And so when you're thinking it's not working, I need to fix it, and you're feeling tight and afraid, and you're doing all of this stuff, you're emailing your list, you're posting on social media, you're engaging in groups more, this is what people are usually doing. And they're like, but it's not working. And the reason is because of the energy in your body. When you are in an energy of fear, when you are in an energy of confused, when you are in an energy of doubtful, and so often this is the water that people are like pouring on their business to try and grow it. They feel afraid, they feel doubt, they feel confused. And that's the fuel, that's the water that they give their business. And so they go out and they take these actions and they're not spending time with their family, and they're spinning in their head with their problem, and they're distracting themselves to get quick hits. And you want to know what it creates, you guys? Of course you do. It creates it not working, but not because it wasn't working, but because you felt this feeling and went and took action from this afraid feeling in your body. You took action from a place of lack and doubt and fear and confusion. And so that energy now, I want you to picture that like fear, doubt, and confusion is in a cup. And it's probably kind of mucky. It's kind of gross looking. And what you did was you just took that out and you tried to create something like clients and money from that mucky, gross water. So you were on social media, you were engaging in groups, like it was helpful, right? Like you were probably creating something good, but you were pouring mucky, nasty water on it. And then you were emailing your list and you were in this place of like, I need to do it because I haven't hit my result and I need to. And you were just pouring more mucky water on it, right? This is what so many people are doing. And they're like, well, I can't not feel this way because it's true. It's not true. All it is one perception of the circumstance. Okay, so now I'm going to show you what else you can believe, because anytime that we are working in our minds, now this first step is you want to see what it creates. This is the most powerful, because when you see that, when you think that it's not working and you're like, how can I fix it? And you're like, oh, this is the energy I hold in my body when I'm going into the world. And I'm holding that energy in my body and then I'm showing up like this. You're going to suddenly start seeing like, oh, that's why I keep getting distracted and going doing laundry during the day. That's why when I don't want to work at home because I'm so distracted. That's why my kitchen is just so damn clean. Mine is not, by the way. That's why I have this beautiful website. That's why I have, right, all the things we use to distract ourselves with to get the hit that takes us out of feeling afraid. What I want to teach you to do, though, what I teach my clients to do, is instead of sitting in this place of fear and wasting your time doing this, you want to find the place where you can move to this. And here's what the opposite of this model is going to look like. It's going to be the same circumstance. The amount of money you've created in your business is going to be the same. And instead, you're going to just try this thought. Now, this again comes for people who've made money this month. Otherwise, we'd have to tweak it a little bit. But I want you to try the thought on, it's working. And now when I think a thought like it's working, one of the things I was telling my client that I do differently is when I think it's working, I don't just stop and let my brain be like, it's working. I find evidence that it's working. I build little thought bubbles that connect to each other, that create just this feeling in my body of like, oh, it's working. And I find the evidence. And you guys, evidence is all around you. For my client, it was that she'd already had 8, 9, 10, 11 consults booked this month. And so of course more are coming, right? Of course more are coming. Your evidence could be in comments. It could be in you writing an email and people replying. It could be, your evidence could be that you decided to show up and shift your energy and do it differently. Your evidence could be the views on your video. Your evidence could be somebody reaching out to you and saying, oh, that was so helpful, thank you. Your evidence could be watching your clients transform, but you find the evidence and you dwell on it. You build those thought bubbles that connect out to create a line of belief. Because what we're really going here for, and it's the difference between these two models, our goal is the feeling you're going to have in your body. That is always the goal. Because when you feel inspired, and how is that going to feel? It's going to feel open, right? You're going to just like, you're going to feel relaxed and you're just going to have this feeling of like, my chest is open. I'm just like, I'm just open, right? And so this thought is like, it's working. Now, how can I make it even better? Ooh, when I think that thought, I just like, I feel that tingle. And I was kind of like, is this tingle inspired or is this motivated? But I just like feel it, right? When I'm like, this is working, what can I do to make it even better? I just like, I want you guys to practice thinking that kind of thought and feeling it in your body. Now, if your brain doesn't believe it, obviously you're going to need another thought, right? But for those of you who can believe it, the next step is going to be really feeling it in your body. This is the energy right here. When you think a thought, it's working. How can I make it better? And you feel that in your body. Maybe it's inspired, maybe it's motivated, but it's just this openness. And then you decide, like, oh, what do I want to do? How can I make it better? Now, from this place, you might still do some of these same actions, but I want you to notice the cup of water that you're now pouring over the action. It's clear, it's clean. It's not coming from lack and doubt and confusion. It's coming from a place of like, I have so much, take some. I have so much, right? This is working. And from that place, you create your results. Let me get a drink real quick. If you have questions so far, definitely pop them in the comments. I would love to hear them. And so when you're thinking this thought and you're feeling this feeling in your body, these are so important. You have to feel the feeling. You have to learn to feel the feeling. If you're trying to process your mind, if you're trying to create thoughts without really experiencing them in your body, you're missing out on the joy of creation. You just literally cannot create to the degree is when you have this connection down. Okay, so I took myself to this space. I thought this thought, I felt this in my body, and I made a different list of how I would show up, what I would do. And that list is that I would practice staying in this energy all day. Think about that, you guys. So often we think that the work we need to do is like, well, I need to spend more time on social media. I need to meet more people. You do, actually. You do have to do those things. You can't like grow a business by yourself just feeling great. But the thing is that when you feel this way and you think this thought, you never would. You never would stay in your bedroom, stay in your closet and hide. You would naturally go out and be with people, right? Because this thought is how it's working. How can I make it better? So some people worry like, well, if I just focus on staying in this energy, like that's not going to do anything. But it is. Because inside of this energy, you will be drawn to taking action, to serving, to helping more people. So practice staying in this energy all day. Think about the people I serve and what they need to create, and what they need to create inspiration. I don't know. But just thinking about the people you serve, right? Like really getting into that place where you're like, where are they? What are they thinking? What are they feeling right now? What do they need more than anything? Because when I'm in this thought here, I don't think about them. Who do I think about? Me. I'm all eyes on me. I'm all worried about me. I'm all in my head because it's not working and I have to fix it. Versus when I'm thinking it's working, how can I make it better? I'm naturally focused on serving. I am naturally focused on them and where they're at. And then what am I going to do? Right? Like any content I create, it's going to be from a place of speaking to them, to where they're at. And so when I want to be inspired and inspire them, like, of course, they're going to be more inspired because I just spoke to them. Not because I was strategic over here in this horrible like feeling and like, I got to really get to the heart of my ideal client. What do they need? Right? Because it's still the nasty water being poured all over them. And so you're coming to the place of thinking about them from just a different energy in your body. And then you're going to speak to them and give them value. You're going to get inspired yourself with this because you're thinking about it all the time. And you're going to inspire them. And when people are inspired, you guys, do you want to know what they do? They take action. Your job is to inspire them into taking action. And that could be action on their life, on their dreams, on their goals. But ultimately, the more action they take because you inspired them to do it, eventually, you guys, they're going to make the connection. And they're going to be like, wait a minute, this person seems to know the answer. I bet they could help me do it. And so then they're like, they're not all going to have that thought at the exact same time, but they're going to. And then, of course, they're going to reach out to you. Of course, they're going to be inspired to connect with you. You're gonna use your inspiration to inspire others. You're gonna ponder all the ways that it's working. When you are in the zone of it's not working, you're probably never thinking about all the ways it is. In fact, you're actively ignoring them. Not you personally, but subconsciously your brain. I will never forget, I watched this video in high school. You guys have probably seen it, but it's on a basketball court and these people are bouncing these balls. And what they tell you ahead of time is count the number of times that the ball is bounced. And so you and your brain are sitting there and you're like, bounce, 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 and you're counting and you're up to like 20. And then it stops and they say, did you see the bear walk across the court? And everybody's like, no, you're kidding me. No, or no, that's more like, what? No, that didn't happen. And then they replay it. And you watch a bear walk across the court right in front of your face. But because you were so hyper focused on the ball and counting the number of times, your brain completely eliminated anything that didn't speak to what it was looking for. Our brains do this all the time. All the time. And this is what, as we learn to process our mind, we're really looking for. What is my brain believing that's not helping me get the result I want? If it were easy, you guys, we would all have every result we want. But it's not. It takes practice. It takes time. It takes commitment. It takes seeing these thoughts we believe, it takes not getting the result, it takes being willing to go back out and do it again. It takes sometimes being in, let's see where my finger's pointing. I don't know, this way? No. I'll point at the other thing. There it is. You have to point at the thing you don't want, and then it will point to the thing. It takes, what was I saying? It takes just going and doing it again and again. Oh, I was going to say, being in the wrong energy and realizing, oh, wait, I walked off the path and I get to go back on it now. I get to just get right back on the path. Nothing's gone wrong, right? And so I ponder all the ways it's working. Maybe I even host a training, but I'm in such a good energy that the training content and the ideas, I bet some of you have hosted trainings or created content and it felt like you were like forcing it. And so it took you a while, right? Like maybe it took you 15, 20, 30 minutes just to come up with something, maybe an hour. Maybe you like laminated it about it for days. And the reason that you do that is because you're not in an energy where you're not in a feeling in your body. So when I say energy, guys, it's just a feeling in your body. But it's so much so that you can actually almost feel like a vibration in your body. It's so cool. But you're going to show up differently. You're going to host that training from a different energy. And one of the things I've been doing is I've been doing peer coaching because I'm like, I'm just so full. Like, I want to feel this. It's working. How can I make it better? Oh, I'll sharpen my own skills, right? And so I take completely different action. And the result that I create, you guys, is that it just keeps working better and better. But it's not because this thought was true or this thought was true. They were both optional. And I had to practice finding evidence for this one. Now I'm going to say this again. If you don't believe this thought, because this number right here for your March income is 0, you're probably going to need a different circumstance. You're going to need a different thing to focus in on to find it's working. Now, how can I do it better? You have to find the place where it's true. And sometimes the circumstance is what has to change. Otherwise, the circumstance could be like a wall and you just keep banging your head against it over and over. You're like, no, this is the circumstance. It's very neutral and very true. But there could be different circumstances. And you can choose a different one. And once you find a circumstance that allows you to think this and believe it, how do you know you believe it? Because your brain doesn't argue and your body doesn't like tense up and like, ugh. No, your body's like, yes, I believe it here and I believe it here. And that's how you know you believe it. So it's a game of like, where can I find the circumstance I believe so that the door is there and I just open it and walk through. Now, I know that visual makes it sound really easy, but it's, right? Like it's going to be work, you guys. But you're going to create that it works better and better because the thoughts we are choosing, the energy, because here's the thing, it's thoughts, yes, but it's also the energy about how we go about it. This feeling in your body creates a completely different experience in the world versus doing it from fear and confusion and doubt. You're going to take action. It's not going to work. And even though you know this work, this is still going to happen. And instead of like, oh, I'm such a terrible coach, I know better, I suck, this didn't work. It's like, oh, you know what? I was creating from that energy again. I was feeling confused, I was feeling fearful, I was feeling doubtful. And now I'm all done with that. And I'm stepping back in to my vortex of amazing feelings, of the place that I know creating works. Right? Let's see. So Claire says, practice staying in this energy all day. Yes, do it. And the other part of staying in this energy all day is loving your life. Now, because when I first started, I was like, oh, but I don't want to stay in the energy of my business all day because then I'm just going to be thinking about work. And if I'm thinking about work, I am really excited usually, but I'm not thinking about like how much I love my husband. And it's really difficult to bring those two energies together where you're really excited about your work, but you really want to love your husband. It's like they kind of clash a little bit. And so you hold this energy by thinking about how much you love your life. You guys, I want you to just think about that. I want you to look around yourself right now. I don't care where you're at or what you're doing, but I want you to find the place where what you have is amazing. It's amazing. Because when we spend time wanting something more, when we spend time telling ourselves that what we have isn't good enough, when there's something better out there, we're creating that tight energy. We're creating that that's like a tight and like shaky a little bit, right? Like you can feel it in your body and you're like, oof. I want you to just feel that like, oh, everything I have is so good. This business I have is so good. The clients I have are so good. The money I create is so good. This home that I live in is so good. I love my monthly payment. I love my hardwood floors. I love little details like this in my office that I have found. And I just put it here beside my desk and I look at it lovingly, right? Because the way that we're going to create the biggest, best, most results is by practicing staying in this energy of open and love and expansive. And from this energy, we have access to things that we never had access to. You guys, I did these models. I took myself to this place, or I felt this in my body. And this is what my mind came up with. This is what my brain was like, let's do this. And when I took myself here and I did the same thing, my brain came up with completely different stuff. And the longer you're in that energy, the more stuff comes up. I've been practicing being in a space where I'm already, I have a couple of spots left for one-on-one clients. And I've been practicing being in a space where I'm just completely full. And so I'm like, how do I want to show up then? I don't have any more space. Nothing I do is to sign a client because there's just no space for it, right? So my thought was what do I want to do then? And I felt that energy in my body and I was like, oh. And you know where my mind turned? It was a place that had never gone before. And it was, how can I serve my clients even more? And then I started getting these ideas. And I was like, ooh, that would be so fun. And so I had this idea, once a month, I'm just going to do a training specifically for my clients on things that I want to help them go deeper in, like a workshop, right? Where we're going to work and we're going to figure it out and we're going to process their minds. And they can come or they can not come. They can watch the replay. They can not do it at all. But the people who want to go deeper, this is just for them. This is just for the people who are investing in themselves and who are committed to doing this work and who are getting a follow-up on it and who are just so in it and want it more and more. And so then my brain and that energy is like, how else can I serve, right? Good morning, Jeanette. Kelly, I'm so glad that this is helpful. Janelle says, I love being in the right energy, so much more productive. Yes. I actually really like that because I've found the spots where I want to fill with clients. And then I've been filling them with peer coaching or getting coached myself or just those kinds of things. And so then my day is even more full. And I'm like, the fuller my day is, the quicker I get. And I'm like, I like that, right? Because otherwise you have the whole day and you're like, look at that. I just took the whole day. That was not helpful. So true. Janelle says, can you give an alternative to the circumstance? Yeah. So for example, if this is going to be if you have a 0 month, how can we find the place where it's working and make it even better? This might be something it could be your business. It could be, and then inside of your business, right? So it's still a little bit broad. It's not as specific as saying $1,000 of income for the month or a number. But if you just put your business here and then you force your brain to find the place, it's working, how can I make it work better? Then your brain has to go to, how is my business working? Now, so often, right, just like that basketball example, our brain finds all the ways it's not working. And then our brain's like, no, they're really true. I feel it. And it's true, of course we feel it, right? Our feelings are a result of our thoughts. And so you want to look at your business and you want to force it to find the ways it's working. Okay, how is this working? I am growing as a person. I am not the person. This is actually one of the most fun. This is actually what I'm going to do with my clients is I planned my 3-year plan, but the biggest thing that I got from it is that I wrote down who I was and I wrote down who I thought the $1 million version of me was. And when I look at that list of who I was, I'm not that person anymore. And it's so cool. And so how my business is working is that I am changing as a person. And sometimes in the early days before we make money, that is actually what it takes. The reason we don't have the results we want are because we're not the person that it just comes easily to. We're still learning how to think. We're still learning to process our mind. We're still learning how to be triggered by something. And rather than it lead us like spinning out in this feeling over here of terrible, instead our brain's like, oh, that's your work. And then you write it down and you do the work and you're like, I'm amazing. Rather than spinning in, I suck as a coach, everything is horrible and nothing is working. And so you're practicing being the person who doesn't spin or do the things you've done that don't get the results. So it could be something like your business, and then you force your brain to find the evidence. How is it working? And so, I mean, I remember in November, my brain was like, don't even bother evaluating this month because it was all horrible. And you guys, I looked back at it and I had all this amazing stuff that happened. The only thing that didn't work that month, I'm not kidding, the only thing was that I kept thinking the thought throughout the month, this isn't working. This isn't working. And because I thought that thought, it continued to feel like I couldn't see any of the things that were working. So you have to force your brain to find it. Are people booking consults? Am I sending emails to my list? Are people opening them? Are people replying? Am I building my skill set? Because for years, you guys, I was on social media and I wasn't making money. I just didn't know how. It wasn't even that I didn't know how. I had so much mind drama and negative feelings that I kept stopping myself. And so I look back at those years and I'm like so thankful, because you know what I created from that? I created an audience of people who have now followed me for a couple of years, who have been in my space, who have watched this transformation in me last year, and who are getting to watch me do it all over again this year with my weight. I have created for myself a skill base. I don't have any problem coming on here and going live. You know why? Because I did it for 2 years. I don't have any problem doing a live training because I did it for 2 years. I don't have any problem building a funnel, writing a lead magnet, naming it something so hot that everybody's like, yes, I want it. Why is it though? Because I did it for 2 years. I built this skill set even though I had no result. I had no result of money. And so often people are like, nothing's working. But you know what was working? I built an amazing skill set that now people want to look at and they're like, well, the reason you made money is because you had that skill set and you had all of that ahead of time. No, because I had all of that before. And what I didn't have was a way to process my mind, a way to take myself from feeling terrible and uncomfortable and confused all the time and creating from this model over here where my head is to creating from a space of feeling amazing. Hey, Marisol. Jake, I love you. Loving your husband is a top priority. I know. Like, I used to just not think about it. And it's like, we have to, wherever we send our thoughts is what we create, right? The energy. And so when I just think about my business and loving it, you guys, I'm not thinking about my husband and my children and loving them. And when I look at my life and what I want to love them so deeply. I don't want to miss those things by not choosing thoughts that keep creating that for myself. Oh, thank you, Janelle. I don't know if you guys saw my post the other day, but I resized my ring. So I've had 2 babies in 4 years. And, I grew out of my ring. I grew out of it. And then I just didn't get it resized. And then I got it resized like 9 months ago. And then I grew out of my ring again. And I was just like, no. And so I've lost 12 pounds and I've grown back into my ring. And I'm like, oh, I love wearing my ring again. This is beautiful. I'm glad I picked it. So it's like a whole new experience. So Jeanette says, I need to watch from the beginning. You do. If you guys just tuned in, definitely go back to the beginning. It's so good. So awesome. I have the next few hours of client calls. So have an amazing day, you guys. Comment if you have questions. I would love to answer them and help you dig into this deeper. But have an amazing day.